fitness routines tend to separate goals, strength in one day, cardio on another, mobility as an afterthought. But some training methods combine all three through constant controlled movement. The Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is one of these. It relies on bodyweight resistance, sustained effort, and a wide range of motion, which means muscle, joints, and the cardiovascular system are all working at the same time. It's actually steadily growing and becoming very popular in different parts of the world and also the African continent, with a vibrant community and tournaments emerging in countries like South Africa, Nigeria, and Kenya, reflecting a rising interest in martial arts as both a sport and a holistic fitness practice. To speak on this one, we've got Chris Bright, who is the head coach at Port Elizabeth Submission Fighting Academy. Chris, welcome on the show.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, we all want to be karate kids, right? We've always had that kind of sentiment when we were younger, but we've always thought that, anything that has to do with martial arts is more about fighting and violence. But it's interesting to see people opening themselves up to seeing that it's actually good as a form of training.
Yeah, absolutely. It's taken a bit of a different route from a lot of other martial arts because it's really just it's a community-based thing. And I think when people leave school, a lot of adults don't do any sport. They don't have community, maybe except for church or whatever they do. So it's something you can do till later in life as well, and it stays kind of functional. So you're always working. It's like a gym workout plus a martial arts, all kind of wrapped up into one.
Now, tell us what exactly this is. Maybe someone is hearing about Jiu-Jitsu for the first time. What is this practice? Where does it come from? And how does it work?
Okay, the origin story. Basically, it was brought to Brazil through a Japanese judoka, and they formulated a style of grappling that could suit a slightly less athletic person. So it's very technical, based on leverage and angles and that sort of thing. Of course, it always helps to be stronger, but it's a grappling style, very similar to judo in nature, but a lot of the style is actually on the ground, where judo is about throwing somebody to the ground. And there are holds in that in judo, but a lot more of our time is spent actually on the ground, working out of positions and doing submissions.
Mm-hmm. So if you are spending so much time on the ground, how does it actually incorporate all forms of your body? Because it seems very comprehensive in the way in which you can benefit physically, but it seems like the motion is very limited the way you're saying, or am I mistaken? Could you elaborate on the ground element?
I think Jiu-Jitsu has taken many different forms over the years. It's quite a modern art compared to a lot of martial arts. So it develops quite fast, and there's a sports element to Jiu-Jitsu, there's a self-defense element, and there's a mixed martial arts element, and they're all very different in nature and how they're used. But in terms of I would say a sports element, there might be less takedowns and it would be less self-defense orientated, but like a martial arts or a self-defense element would have a lot more like standing based stuff. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu doesn't incorporate any striking. It's purely grappling. So it's wrestling, judo, and then grappling on the ground, all combined.
So which part is the exercise element of it? Because someone might not get it and say, guys, no, this doesn't sound like fitness.
Yeah, it's what we do. A portion of the class is you do a little bit of drilling. You learn how to use certain movements, and they teach a skill, and then you go into live sparring. So as opposed to a lot of martial arts, like if I was teaching, I don't want to name martial arts, but a lot of martial arts are very theoretical in nature, and you can't go and spar full contact every day because you would hurt each other and knock each other out every day, and people don't want to train like that. Where Jiu-Jitsu, you're working against a live resisting opponent all the time. So from your first class in a lot of gyms is I'm trying to choke you and hold you down, and you're trying to choke me and hold you down, and you have to learn how to do that. So you're actually working against people's body weight, you're working against gravity, we've actually had children come to us with low muscle tone and their handwriting improves because you use so much stability and core. It's very physical.
Nice. Well, let's speak about those who want to get into like fitness this year. Usually, our first train of thought is, oh, I'm going to have to go to the gym. And then today I'm going to do cardio. Tomorrow I'm going to do arms. The following day it's going to be leg, etc. If someone is looking for an alternative, someone that doesn't really like to go to the gym, would this be a good
Yeah.
fit for them? And could you explain to us why?
I think so. Everybody's different, and some people like karate, some people like kung fu, some people like football. So I think everybody's different. But the good thing, what I find about this is it's an outlet physically, but also emotionally. You get to come every night to a group of friends. So we've got a lot of people in our room, and that is what really gets people to stay. So it's the community-based aspect of it, which is really nice. Um, my mental health, I can feel like if I don't get to roll or do jiu-jitsu for a couple of days, I get very grumpy very quickly. So it actually it's a very good outlet for me, and I think there's a lot of people that share the same sentiment around the world that do jiu-jitsu.
I hope
And
that.
then
Sure.
there's
No.
other aspects to
Yeah.
jiu-jitsu. For example, you could go to any country in the world, and if you're a jiu-jitsu practitioner, it almost lets you get into a circle of friends where we get drop-ins and visitors from all over the world all the time.
Hmm.
And they look us up on Google or Instagram, and they pop in and they visit us, and they've automatically, like, you kind of slot into a network of people, and there's not many other ways to do that.
That's intriguing, right? Tell us a little bit about this community, why it's growing on the continent in different parts of the world. Why are people taking a liking to jiu-jitsu?
There's so many reasons, and I think progressively, like with modern living, we spend so much time on our screens, and we become more and more isolated from each other. And the only way to do jiu-jitsu is with real human interaction. So you're in a room, actually dealing with proper people, no phone time. And then it's very cool in a sense because, like, the people that train with us, we don't know what they do. I mean, we could have people that are unemployed, or we could have a minister on the same mat, or a movie star. And then for that time that they get there, there's no hierarchy in terms of what you do in life. So, like, we don't even know what people do that come to us, which is, for me, I really like that, and it's very important that no one's judged on any other basis except what they do on the jiu-jitsu mat.
We're going to take a break, Chris, then come back. I'd like us to expand on how you start on something like this, because someone like me is like, yo, this sounds very dangerous, eh? I don't want to be harmed, or I don't want to get hurt. I just want to use this as a vessel of improving my physique. Where do you start? What would the process be? Is it dangerous? We'll ask those questions after our break.
Are you fluent in French, Chinyanja, Portuguese, and Kiswahili? Are you passionate about radio? And are you looking to work in South Africa? Do you have papers that qualify you to work in South Africa? In that case, we might have an opportunity for you to work for Channel Africa. Send us your CV and demo at newsroom@channelafrica.co.za. Remember, if you don't hear from us within 14 days, it means you have not made it or you have not been selected. Channel Africa, the African perspective. Palesa and Benjamin, fuel your day with fresh African perspective on Channel Africa.
Maybe you told yourself that this year you wanted to try new things, especially when it comes to your fitness and your wellness. And today we're helping you do that, introducing you to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Joining us is Chris Bright, head coach at Port Elizabeth Submission Fighting Academy, helping us understand what this method of training is and how it may develop very different levels of fitness for us. Well, let's speak about that. You know, there is a community, which is great, because community is always great for mental wellness as well as fitness, physical wellness and consistency. So we've learned. But when one is trying to target a particular thing in their body using jiu-jitsu, who would this be best for? So if you don't particularly have great muscles, for example, what about your joints? Would it be good for someone who has weak joints? And who can't do jiu-jitsu, if there is anyone who can't?
Well, I think one of the jiu-jitsu taglines has always been jiu-jitsu's for everybody. I know all the sports and all the martial arts codes say the same thing, but there's many different routes you can take with jiu-jitsu. You could go try to become a world champion and become a hard-nosed competitor. We've also got 4-year-old kids on the mat taking their first steps
Whoa,
into any
okay.
martial art or sport. And we've got a 60-something-year-old member on the mat with us too. I'm not that far behind either. So, and I think a lot of people and most good jiu-jitsu communities moderate their training based on the individual, and you'll find a very soft landing if you're not physically able. People on the jiu-jitsu mats will look after you. And it's not something where, like, some of the other arts are very, very hard and very, very physical. You're able to scale jiu-jitsu down to suit individuals, which is nice. I can work quite softly. I roll with children. My son's 12, and we spend time sparring on the mat, and I'm able not to hurt him when I do it. So I think it's about the screening the place that you go to and making sure that you go to the right place, and getting to know and being comfortable in the environment that you go join. And that's important. There's different fields of any sports community, and just make sure whenever you join somewhere and go, and you get a good first feeling and you like the people, and then you'll find a home there.
I mean, you spoke about screening where you're going to practice. What should you be looking out for to get a place that's reputable? Because there's a lot of people who claim they're good at such physical forms of martial arts, and you find out later that no, I'm at the wrong place.
Yeah, I think you've got to trust your gut. And then, we've seen in some cases there are maybe less credible in anything than others, but there's a lot of references are pretty verifiable. So, you've just got to be comfortable in the environment that you go to. It can be difficult, and it always pays to do research on the art in general. Instead of going into any martial art and not having an expectation from the martial art at all. I think with there's so much info available online now and in places like YouTube. And if you look at the model of a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or Judo or wrestling gym, and when you get there, if it's completely different from what the models you've seen online and overseas, and then that might be a little bit of a red flag. But then, even having said that, a lot of the new academies that are coming up, they're very small in numbers, and then they're good people, and you've got to start somewhere. So I think a lot of it is based on your own experience. If you're happy in a place and you're treated well and you're looked after and you're learning good skills, then there's a place for everybody.
All right, Chris, thank you so much for joining us. How can people who are close to your practice find out more about the Port Elizabeth Submission Fighting Academy?
We're super easy to get hold of on the internet. Plus, I'm available PESPO Academy on Instagram. So anyone's welcome to reach out and come try a class. But I think in all the areas, pretty much every area in every town in Port Elizabeth, every town not in the Eastern Cape, but in South Africa has a Jiu-Jitsu academy now. And just get on the internet, do your research, ask questions about their track record, and go give it a try.
All right, man. Thank you for speaking to us about this one and debunking some of the misconceptions we might have had on Jiu-Jitsu. Thank you so much, Chris, for joining Channel Africa.
You mentioned flexibility and mobility early in the thing. I would say I'm not a good advocate for that. I can barely touch my toes. So Jiu-Jitsu is hard on the body.
All right, Chris, thank you so much. That's Chris Bright, head coach at Port Elizabeth Submission Fighting Academy. Well, that's a good one, isn't it? Would you ever try something like that, Bali?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you would,
I know someone, my partner does do jiu-jitsu, I think once a week or twice a week. So, yeah, I think it's not too bad.
She must also take you to jiu-jitsu.
No, not yet.
Just yoga.
Not yet, please. Not yet.
I must have a conversation with your partner very, very soon on that one.